makes life easier.
Yeah. I missed out. So good that somebody should remember to start. Yeah. So how this whole intention of every business being a positive contribution on the planet will get fulfilled is by creating models of inspiration. Okay. So what we are looking at is with whatever community we build here and whatever work we do, all of us we do with organizations, small, big, large, they should become inspirational models. And that would then be the way to spread on the planet. Not that, see, even if we become a team of 500 people or 5,000 people, we are never going to reach out all the businesses on the planet, right? But even if you create one business, that can be an inspiration for the world, and that can be an access point for the world, right? And all of us, we can work and create enough such inspirations, and some of them will be in X industry, some of them will be in Y industry, they will be in different geographies. So we can have many such role models, many such inspirational models that then can be leveraged to spread the possibility. Okay. So that is just kind of sharing what's happening in our head, right? So where we are in our thinking. And so this is one dimension, is to have every business be a positive contribution. Inside of that, there is another dimension called the transformation of the system and transformation of the environment. Because right now, the way the businesses are functioning, they're also functioning that way because they are part of a certain system, they're part of a certain environment. So if the system is transformed and the environment is transformed, then it would be more easier and more natural for businesses to be a force for good. Right now, if you ask businesses to be a positive contribution, they think of it like, many of them think of it like, oh, I never started business for that, or I didn't think of it that way, or I wanted it, but I don't know how to do it. So it's like a side conversation. But as the environment changes and as the system changes, that might become much easier or much more like a norm. Right? So we want to also work on transforming the space, transforming the environment in which business happens. So that's one dimension. The second dimension is this community, the community of consultants, trainers, and coaches. So we together can influence a lot of people. We together can actually make a difference with more and more people, right? More and more businesses. So the role that this community is going to play is important. And we are going to play a much better role if we are a community, if we are together, instead of what we are going to do as solo. Okay? And some of you know, like Pallavi and Upma, you know that we have been having this experience for the last 7-8 years of the power of being in a community and how that helps us to stay true to our purpose instead of get distracted by anything and everything, right? So one is that we would, as a community, be able to make much bigger impact. And a sub part of it is none of us have to feel being alone. None of us have to feel like, oh, it's a big challenge and how do I deal with it? Because each one of us experiences being together, right? And you are supported, you are backed, and there's somebody really there for you to build your business till the time you are interested in building a positive business, right? And also, as a consultant and a trainer, it's important that your own practice is itself a business, which also has to be a positive business, right? When I say positive, it's a positive for the world. And I was talking to a consultant that we are coaching, and we're talking to him in the same way. Are you supporting people to grow? or are you supporting people to be a positive contribution on the planet? And the growth will happen. So is growth the main focus, and contribution or being a positive force on the planet the side effect? Or is being a positive force on the planet the main game and growth as a natural side effect? Because if we are only interested in growth, and I am not saying we should not be interested in growth, but we have to also remember, if we are only interested in growth, and if the brain works like growth, 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 we are thinking the way cancer works. That's how cancer works. Grow, 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 till the time it destroys the body, right? And human beings have been like the cancer on the planet. Grow, 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 till the time we destroy the planet. So we don't want to be uh, growing, and we don't want to be consultants for that kind of growth. We want to be consultants. And when I say consultants, please include consultants, trainers, and coaches all the time. Just I have to pick one word. So if we are being consultants, we want to be consultants which who empower people, who empower companies to be a positive force on the planet, and growth happening as a natural effect of it. Okay, so that's a basic dimension in our thinking, and this is what is guiding us in our business, and this is what is guiding us to build this community. Okay, so let me pause here and give everybody a chance to say something, to whatever you would like to say or ask. The floor is open.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to the group, as you guys know, and I think this is very aspirational. Being an entrepreneur and who has similar aspirations and started my company with the aspiration that and the vision that we could help people, empower people to be trusted by strangers, gain equitable access to opportunities, leveraging technology. So kind of global village, and everybody has equitable access based on their authentic self and social worth. And I focused primarily on the social sector, on nonprofits, on organizations that are providing human services. And what I found is that so those are the kinds of organizations that really care, or supposedly their mission and mandate is to care about people on the planet. The problem that I've found is it's very difficult to have a business in that space, because in order for them to even consider using your products and services, they expect you to pay them. And so that's not a good formula for a business. So moving on to the corporate sector, where the objective is profit, and in difficult economic times, right now, my sense is that organizations are primarily concerned about cost savings, not even growth right now. I think everybody's focused on cost savings and preserving jobs, and this whole disruption that's happening right now. So what I'm trying to say is that I think that and so those organizations that do buy into, from my experience so far, into the social and environmental causes, generally do it to enhance their brand, and it's really a brand augmentation play, more than a strategic business decision. And so the challenge, I think, again, just from my experience, is that it's possible to create a brand, our brand, as a team, as a virtual organization, to fit into those spaces. But it's really important to understand who is going to be receptive to that brand promise that we're making, and how receptive the market is for that. And I'm not saying there isn't one. I'm just saying that we have to be very careful as to who cares. And for example, I'll just say one more thing. So for example, in a corporate environment, where brand is important, and they have to report to shareholders, they do care about measuring the impact that they're having on their communities, on society, on the environment. So who cares in the organization? Well, it's somebody, CFOs, people responsible for dealing with the board and reporting to shareholders. We have to be very careful as to who our market is and how we position ourselves for that market. But I'm not saying anything against the aspiration. We're all on the same page. I just think it's a fine line as to where we're going to find those clients.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So we are not we are not trying to be environmentalist for that matter, right? What we are saying is we're conscious businesses, okay, and we are helping companies to be conscious businesses. Conscious of what? Conscious of the impact the business as a business we are having on what we call the three divides, which is the ecological aspects, the social aspects, and the spiritual aspects. Okay, so if I give you an access here, one of the things that we are talking about in our flagship program is creating future-ready organizations and creating organizations where people bring their head, heart, and soul. Now, when I'm saying people bringing their head, heart, and soul, it is addressing a particular divide that we talk about, which is the spiritual divide. And what it is saying is that people are not even thinking of bringing soul. Nobody's thinking of bringing soul to the workplace, including the owners, right? And people are also stopped, after some time, they will stop thinking of bringing their heart to the game. Then what's left is the brain, right? And that too, as you start working, you realize you can't bring your full brain here. You can't use your full brain here. You have to use your brain within the limited paradigm of your boss. If you're too smart than your boss, you're going to be in trouble. And if you're too smart than your system that your company is working inside of, it's not going to work. So what is happening is we have been living in organizations, which one of my favorite consultant, Gary Hamel, says that the challenge right now is to create organizations which are fit for humanity. And right now, unfortunately, most organizations don't fit the bill. And it doesn't mind with small organizations, big organizations, everywhere. The way we are thinking of organization, it doesn't fit for humanity. People can't bring their head, heart, and soul into the game. And all of us have been in the world for so many years. You can see it everywhere, right? You can see it in small organizations, you can see it in education institutions, you can see it in hospitals, you can see it in NGOs, you can see it in for-profit organizations. Anywhere and everywhere you go, people are frustrated. They are suppressed. They can't bring their full self to work. And of course, performance is down. So I'm also saying that if you want to have an extraordinary performance as an organization, it makes sense to have the full person be there instead of a suppressed, limited person being there. Okay. So we are completely in for organizations having great futures and having, our game is all strong, sustainable, successful organizations. Right. But one important part of that is to design the organization and the culture in such a way that people can bring their full self to the work. That's one dimension. And then the second dimension is, of course, the get out of our head and sense the future and design the company's strategies, design the company's execution in sync with the emerging future. Okay. So both the dimensions are important. And So Alex, this is the context in which we have been talking, or we are talking. Yeah. So I hope it adds a little bit more to the space background for you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for clarifying that. I'm totally with you. I just posted in the chat. I wrote an article a while ago called "Humanistic Corporate Governance." It's exactly to
Yes.
the point.
Perfect.
We're humans, and
Yeah.
organizations are
Yeah.
legal persons that need to fit into and contribute to society, as opposed to being pariahs of society. So I'm totally with you.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. Let's hear from others.
Yeah, just taking on from what you said, Manoj, for the last decade or so, the 40 years of exposure I've had in managing human resources, I see two things. Two areas always in a conflict. One is strategists on one side, and the other side is the executioners, right? So you have a lot of people sitting at one side working the strategies for the company in terms of saying what target should be there, what is the business scenario, and all that. Little realizing that what needs to be done at the execution level is a totally different ballgame.
Yes.
And there are many a times when people don't even have an idea of what's happening down the line,
Yeah.
and that has implications in terms of a proper relationship management happening between various cadres, and also a feedback mechanism of listening to and also being listened in as much as saying what is happening, and that is a very big developmental process which will bring in the soul part of it, which will come in and fill that gap.
Yeah.
So
True. True. And Amar, one of the source conversation there is consider that both the people who are thinking of strategies and people who are trying to execute, both are not in the same planet,
yes.
right? And all of them are in their head.
Yep.
So all of us are living in our head. Okay. And the way to kind of bring strategy, bring and make sure that we are designing appropriate strategies and they are executed appropriately. It's important that the whole leadership team start with is trained to get out of their head and actually go out and see from the eyes
Yeah.
of the various stakeholders.
Absolutely.
And once they start to develop some ability to get out of their head and start to see the world from the eyes of various stakeholders, then there is a new language available and a new level of collaboration, co-creation possible. Okay.
Yeah,
And
it gives a lot of depth to the empowerment process also. No? So
yeah. And there are many tools for that, but we leverage Theory U for that. And Aljor and I have been had been working with a company we talked about in the past. And when we used to tell them, okay, you need to innovate, bring new products, this, that, they were like, okay, yeah, we have been doing business for 60 years. Then, as a part of the exercises, they were people in production were also asked to go out and meet clients and meet with different companies, and all of a sudden they said, "Oh my God, we really need to we really need to innovate." And now they have a series of new products they're launching on a regular basis, and then the whole game changes. So
sure.
the way you help them in the challenge that you're talking about is firstly train them to get out of their head and to see the world from multiple perspectives, especially multiple perspectives of multiple stakeholders.
True.
Right.
So
So
this reminds me. Sorry to
yeah,
one small interjection here is in one of the companies I worked almost 14-15 years back. We had the MD going along with the salesperson.
yeah,
Okay, on the sales beats. So actually, what the guy was doing down below, he could actually understand what the process was, and it became easy to articulate, easy to connect, easy to give feedback, and change course if required,
really.
which is not happening in today's context because there's so much of a run towards say fulfilling objectives, KRAs, this, that. I mean, all that is there, but fundamentally, what
Yeah,
has to happen on the ground has to happen.
yeah. So the silos have to be broken.
Absolutely.
That's one dimension. Yeah, okay. Let's not digress too much. So everybody else, opportunity for you to share what you say, want to say, what are you getting in this conversation, or any questions you have.
While the talk was on, I just got the news on TV and I just
Mm,
Googled it. So there's a
mm,
PwC survey recently. I think it was revealed today only or yesterday with
mm,
4,700 CEOs.
mm.
About 45% of them have revealed that their company will not survive for next 10 years if they continue what they are doing.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the major reason is AI. The other is climate change. And then there are smaller reasons also. So
Yeah.
business as usual will not be sustained in next decade anyway.
Yeah.
So either we can be a part of the flow or we can help them transform as a community.
Yes.
We have to be able to transform. If we are there to show the light to them, we need to be ahead of the curve. We as a community need to think of which areas actually we need. I'm very intrigued about theory u and the uh, the other moment which you said, Manoj, about the future thinking or something.
EXO. Uh,
Yeah.
EXO, right?
So I don't know
EXO
whether you
results.
are talking about on the same lines or not, but we have to clearly identify the areas of transformation. Not every area will need to be transformed. Not every area will can be transformed in this. I mean, there will be some sequence. Some areas will need transformation first, and then others will follow. Areas of the business. And
Yeah.
we are talking to the corporates, the institutions, the non-profits, not the individuals as consultants. So I think there will be a lot more common grounds to cover. We need to put our head together on that. Tech
Yeah.
is Technology is one of them.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. And now when we're talking here, especially in the context that we are thinking, we are not looking at uh, the differentiation being the technology. Okay, the technology is going. We have to leverage technology. We cannot not leverage it. That is not an option. Okay,
Correct.
but what we are more worried about, okay, is between artificial intelligence and human stupidity. I am more worried about the human stupidity.
Hmm.
Okay, and we don't need AI to destroy us. Okay, like if you look at 85% of the Fortune 500 companies, which in the first list of Fortune 500 companies, 85% of them are not there anymore. So even without AI, we have been able to kill ourselves.
Correct.
Right. So one of my favorite scientists to quote is Einstein, and he says, "There's no limit to human stupidity and the universe." And I'm not sure of the later.
Maybe AI
So
will save us from ourselves.
no, I mean, I don't think so. I think it's ultimately it's going to become like a tool, a playground where everybody would leverage it, like other technologies and other things. It will have a big role. But what we will have to play and learn and all of that. But the more important focus right now is people and leadership specifically, because they are going to decide how everything is going to happen, right? And so the same AI you can use to uh, destroy people and destroy planet, and the same AI will be used to create and help positive stuff, right? So ultimately it's a technology, but the real thing is the thinking, right? The real impact is going to be in how we think. And at an organization level, of course, everybody's thinking is important, but it definitely starts at the top, right? So it is in the culture, it is in the leadership, it's in the whole context of why the organization exists. like one of the things we say is each of us has two self, the small self, which is worried about the survival, and the other self is what we call as the higher self, is connected to the purpose. Why are we here on the planet? Now, when the leadership team is operating from the small self, then it's the whole language of fear or greed. But when you're operating from your higher self, then the whole context is what is the purpose? What is the purpose of this organization? Not like a purpose to print on some media, but like what is the purpose of this organization? Why are we really building this organization? And when that becomes sacrosanct, that's a different power. So in theory, you that we refer to, or even in the EXO principles that we refer to, purpose is central for everything. Right? And the purpose of whose purpose? Not the small self purpose, the higher self purpose. Right? So in the EXO language, it's called MTP, massive transformative purpose. Right? In the theory language, it's just called purpose, is the intention. And we say intention is not a powerful force. It is the only force. So we want to kind of focus on that context from which organizations are built. And we want to support each other to build our own businesses from that positive context, and then help us to bring that positive impact with the clients that we are working with.
Now, would you go to market with that, or would you, once you're in the engagement, then we kind of introduce that was part of the kind of recommendations.
We will, I think,
that-
I think we are a couple of steps away from that conversation yet. We're not there yet. I think we want to first look at each one of us getting a good enough sense of what we're talking and getting aligned on that. We don't want to speed up before we are, like, we don't want to run before we get to walk, right? So right now, as a team, we are just getting introduced to this conversation, and we want to get aligned and get deeply aligned in that. And it might take some time, and we might have to invest some time in it. And I want to do that. Yeah. Somebody else? Questions, comments? Pallavi, Upma, Radhakrishnan.
Yeah, Manoj, do you mean to say that we are going to customize the principles of theory U, which can suit the work we are doing?
Yes, we are already doing that, and we will be doing that. Yes. And how and what is required, it will evolve. But for everything that you're doing, like for example, you are running your clinic, right? And you are also doing your coaching activities, right? So firstly, looking at how that can be a positive impact, right, on the planet, and how what are the different different elements that you can bring in to increase the impact, the positive impact on the planet, right? So we can, as a community, we support each other in doing that, right? So that each of us, our own business is more positive, right? And whoever we are working with, those companies, those groups of people, they are also able to make a positive impact on the planet. Right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. What I wanted to also know that while doing this, are we going to have any specific structure to follow, or we are going to go according to the basic principles that we learned in Theory U?
The spirit is the same. The basic principles don't change. Okay, they are the foundation, right? But when you start looking at how does it get applied to different aspects of organization building, right? Then there will be a learning curve there.
Right. For example, it can be different for a corporate world, and it can be different.
Yeah, like
different from medical field.
Yes, and like for example, we are doing this workshop on 2nd and 3rd February in AMA, Ahmedabad Management Association. And it is for CEOs, entrepreneurs, and CXOs, key people. And the whole context is this: creating future-ready organization and creating organizations where people bring their head, heart, and soul. So what are we going to do in this 2-day workshop is, firstly, they're going to see that they are not future ready. And whatever parameters they have to evaluate, they're going to get some insights into that. Secondly, the organizations are not designed for people to bring their head, heart, and soul. And then how do you go about it? Right. So what are the people? So then learning some of the same competencies, but now from a different context. And it's like context is decisive, right? The same thing, when you look at it from a different context, it has a very different power. So for example, you have been exposed to some tools and you say stakeholder interviews, for example. But when you look at stakeholder interviews from the context of building a future-ready organization, it's a different world altogether than you're just doing a stakeholder interview from the perspective of, okay, you're working with me, I want to know your world, right?
Mm.
So the context is different, and and hence the conversation will have a different flavor.
Mm.
And what we also seen is, like, when you are working in one organization, the game is different. When you're working with in open conversations where there are 4 or 5, 6 organizations, then the flavor is different. It's not better or this, but both are different. And so it's more like different dimensions keep opening up, and we have to build on that.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Got that. Yeah.
So, and the same thing you can apply in your organization, and then whatever else you do, even that will evolve. Even the way you are looking at contributing in the planet, right, can keep evolving. There's no limitation, right?
Right. Right. Yes.
Because whatever games you are playing right now, they have also evolved sometime, and maybe in the future some other games may evolve. All of us, we don't know, right? But the basic direction is sorted out for us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right? So that every business being a positive impact on the planet, and every consultant coach also being a positive impact on the planet. Like jokingly, I was telling one of my friends yesterday, we don't want to be the Shukracharyas. The Shukracharya, for those of you who don't know, was the very, very powerful, very highly evolved guru, but he was the guru for the demons in the Hindu mythology, right? So we don't want to be those kind of consultants and trainers who are extraordinarily powerful and they can make miracles happen, but they are working on the, let's say, wrong side. Maybe, so we want to be the Krishna of the Mahabharata instead of the Shukracharyas. Okay, so both sides. So we want to work with companies and organizations to be positive, and as a community, while we want them to be positive, we'll also have to start with we being positive, right? And we are thinking every time from, okay, how am I contributing? How are we contributing? And how are we helping this company to become a positive contribution? And a lot of it will get clear and it will evolve as we start dealing with real issues like your own businesses, own practices. When we start questions, like maybe a lot of future discussion meetings would be where we are discussing, okay, I am working on this and how can I bring in this positive impact here? Or so as we start working together towards that, a lot of things will evolve and get built. Okay. Mohit, anything for you?
So Manoj,
Yeah.
actually you are telling future ready organization. So when
Yes.
future itself is so dynamic and uncertain,
Yeah.
how can you go about it? I'm just worried about that only. Because
Yeah,
now
perfect.
every day
Yeah.
things are getting changed very fast.
Yes.
How can we catch up with that change?
Yes. You are 200% correct, right? So it requires, so firstly is we have to understand that our current competencies are insufficient for it. Because all of us are PhD masters in learning from the past. And that's how we have been trained. So now we need to develop a new competency called how do we learn from the future as it emerges. Okay, so two images come in front of me right now. One is if you are surfing in the ocean, right? You learn how to sense the wave. Right? And either you sense the wave and you can ride the wave, or the wave will still come and it will disrupt you. Right? So that is one dimension. And so that's what we have to keep developing the ability to sense and continuously. It's not one time, it's continuously being able to sense and create a team who can sense, create the whole organization which can sense, because it's not job of one person to sense. Right? You're not going to have a chief sensing officer and that only one person will sense and everybody else will live in a zombie world. That won't be there, right? You'll have to build an organization which can sense. Right? Yeah. So I think we want to so build this community from that context. Okay. Now, how and what, we don't know. And what role you are going to play, you have to decide. Because one of the things that we have to see is how you can play a more active role in creating the community. Not that it's not as compulsory, but it would make a big difference. Okay, questions, comments, what ifs?
I want to say something about the comment of Radhakrishnan. I think it is important that we go forward asking those questions. It is not that we know what's going to happen in the future. And I think it's important that you stay in that question. What's going to happen? How is it going to show up? What is emerging? All of these things. And I think if we are going forward in asking those questions, at least we're on the right track, because there's not something that we already know about the future. And that could be one context in which we could participate in this community. And you know, it's not so much about how we're going to do it. And like Manoj said, that's still quite early at this point. But it's really more of getting clear, all of us getting clear and getting aligned in who is at work at this. You know, are we at a community that's going to provide value to the world, to the stakeholders, to the employees, as opposed to just expansion and growth for the sake of expansion and growth, which is currently what's happening in the world. You know, people are so committed to increasing profits, increasing dividends, increasing market share and it never really translate to the actual people that work on it, including the community in which most of these companies exist. So if we could align with that as a context, that whatever we do or however we do it, which is still sort of a couple of steps away, we're aligned that this community is actually someone that will provide value. It's a value generating community and a positive impact to the world and humanity at large. And I think that's important.
True.
Yes, Mohit, anything for you? Shivam, for you, anybody got to jump in and speak up. Vikas, if you want to say something, you
As
can
of
unmute
now,
and speak.
not really.
Yeah, sure.
But,
Yeah.
just taking in a lot of things, difference of opinions, thought process. But yes, it is important. The intent is extremely required in terms of where we'd like to go, what we'd like to do. Leveraging what we have together is also extremely important.
Yeah.
Only thing is, how do we set up a roadmap, pick up something to work on, Manoj, together maybe as a group, and get ahead with it. I'd like to see something, where, see, we are all, there are a lot of very talented people in this group with a lot of experience. Maybe we could, sort of explore a project that we can get started on, or get involved into something where each one of us can contribute. Maybe that would help. I'm not very sure. I'm just trying to
No,
sort
yeah,
of.
you're right. I'm reflecting on what you're saying, and definitely there is no question of talent. So, and we need a roadmap. And if we were to have some projects where we could work on it, that's also good. So the couple of things I can see, Shivam, is we would share some of the tools that we have, and we can also find out what are the other tools that are available here with all of us and get aligned on something like a starting, say phase one, this is what we will do, phase two, and then we don't have to kind of make it airtight, but like we can have some rough sketch of it, and then we keep evolving as we go ahead. So that's one. And one of the projects that we have for all of us to work together is to build this community itself. That itself is an important project.
Absolutely.
Because if we are able to create a team of say 50 committed people who are willing to really learn to work with each other as a community, right? And we are able to have a breakthrough in the way we are collaborating, and we are going beyond our own egos, and we are going beyond our own mental blocks. And if we can create a community of even 50 people, which works like a real community, that itself would be a big breakthrough, and a lot of new things will open up out of that. And yeah. And I'm just saying this because last 7 years we have been working with as a team with people like Aljor here in Philippines, and myself here in India, and Nilesh here, and then Vivek and Ferdy is in UK, and we have been working together for the last 7 years. And if we have seen that it's what it takes to work together, even though when you're all experts in your own field, and then you're trying to come and work together, and everybody sees life differently, world differently. So I think if we could create that for a 50 people team and we become a strong community like that, I think that itself would be a very good starting point. And then many new opportunities, new possibilities emerge out of that in that whole journey. That's my.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I think that is something that is you're bang on in terms of what is probably required. But as you also said, maybe we could get started on something, and as you rightly said, nothing very precise, but yeah, something that where all of us can contribute to working on a project. It would give something, which some level of momentum into what we are trying to do, and maybe allow us to focus our energies into something that would be there, that would actually go across. So I'd leave it to the group to decide whether that, and you to decide whether that would be a thing that we can.
I think we should start exploring, and as we talk, as everybody contributes, we would kind of get a some kind of momentum, right? So what you're saying is in the right direction. Let's keep sharing our ideas, and the next step will evolve out of it.
Sure.
Yep. But I am in sync with what you're saying.
Great.
And Mohit.
While I agree with the basic thoughts, I'm still to capture the essence of it. What are the steps forward? Maybe it'll take some more few more sessions to arrive on specific directions. So that's where I am right now.
Right. Yeah. I get that. Yes.
Yeah, and I also want to emphasize on this that because of stupid humanity, artificial technology is going to get a lot more intelligent. Is Chat GPT and generative AI is just 5% of the AI.
Right.
95% sits behind, which is going to help immensely, and it's already doing
Mm.
in strategic decisions at the
Right.
top level.
Yeah.
So we have to think of it as a friend, not as a competitor,
No,
and take
yeah,
AI
definitely.
in a stride and lead the way forward.
Yeah, and we should use it in what we are trying to build, including how we build this community. And the way we use it, that will be a learning curve for us. Also, it will be then useful in what we contribute to people.
Yeah. And
So-
humans are going to stay stupid for time immemorial. We will not be able to.
Yeah, till the time they are, right? So when they transform, but yes.
Right.
So yeah, and Mohit, you should, given that your exposure to AI seems to be quite good, you should take the lead in bringing those things to us. That this is what we need to learn, maybe, or this, like you keep bringing that dimension and create
Yeah.
opportunities for us as a community to learn certain things and see how we can start leveraging it. In the first project being building the community itself.
True. True.
So I think the first project is this, right? We'll take on other projects, but first project we start with is we're building the community.
Mhm.
Let's say a community of 50 people, right? Committed, strong, connected 50 people as a phase one, right? And parallelly, whatever other projects will emerge, we can definitely look at them. No restrictions. So Mohit, will you provide leadership in bringing AI to this community and community to this AI game?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm on it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Because we need different dimensions and different leadership, right? So, and none of us have all the exposure. So you seem to be good with AI. And also, I think there are other areas where you can contribute. But today, let's talk about AI. Right?
Not really good, but I've spent more time on YouTube searching for AI than others.
No, Alex and myself and David, we are also part of a international group called AI Working Group. And that's how I met them there. And there are a lot of cutting edge conversations happening there, which I am trying to grapple in terms of, because a lot of good things are there, but not everything is going to add value to us, right? Even though it may be good and powerful. Right? So, and yeah, but there are really some smart people there in that group working on things like environment, working on, David himself is working on mindfulness and AI. There are people who are working on bringing AI to education in a way that it can kind of, the access to education can be democratized and not controlled through various platforms or various tools. So there are a lot of research happening. As we learn more, I will keep sharing and also maybe try to bring those relevant people here or bring their information here. Yeah. So we'll do that. Okay, somebody else? Nilesh, you want to speak?
So I put in the chat, there's a platform called Nas.io, and it lets you have like resources in there. And then also I wanted to say that this past summer, I wrote an ebook about the future of education, about the democratization of education, like you were just mentioning.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't know what you think about going that route. If you want to create like a community on a platform like Nas.io and try to get 50 people in there as a goal for our group or something like that.
I'm right now the first response would be there are many platforms available and platforms are not a shortage, right? It's more about getting the right people together for us. That's how I am thinking right now. Because as you know, David, all of us have got exposed to many good platforms, and this must also be good. So we can always explore it. But I don't think platform is becoming the shortage. We can even build our own platforms, or we have enough IT companies with us in our relationship where we can even leverage something. But I think it's more important to get the right group of people together with different competencies, and then we can at phase 2 we can look at if we need a platform. Yeah, we can definitely access that.
Yeah, right now it's more about converging thoughts on, face to face.
Face to face and
Getting the energy
WhatsApp and
together.
email and all of that.
Yeah,
The basic platforms are good to start.
true. Nireshi, your turn.
Yeah, what is important in today's conversation is purpose is essential. Like if only growth is a purpose, it can be the cancer for the organization,
For the world.
for the world.
The organization becomes the cancer for the world.
Yeah, like versus we are creating a conscious businesses
Yeah.
where people bring their head, heart, and soul. It's altogether is a new thing. I think it's a new future is emerging out of this conversation itself.
I think growth is an important metric of whether we are moving in the direction of purpose or not, and nothing beyond that.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
have the right parameters.
It's the indicator.
Yeah, you have to have the right indicators. You need to have the right measures.
Correct.
Right? If you measure the wrong things, then you will become the Shukracharya.
It is like this. We can have a triangle with the contribution, transformation, and growth.
No, growth will happen, and growth has to happen, but it is like a what part of growth you're measuring, what that is more important, right? Growth is inherent. Like we say to companies where we're coaching, we say profit is like breathing. You have to have profit and you have to breathe. But nobody says my purpose in life is to breathe. Right? You have to breathe and you have to make profits. Definitely.
But we need direction.
Yeah, the direction is your purpose. The direction is the purpose. Right? And how you're fulfilling the purpose, right? While being responsible for your profit, because it's like being responsible for your breathing. Right? But the moment
Growth is not the only thing. That's correct.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Would it be worthwhile to articulate these ideas in some sort of document? Whether it's a statement or manifesto or something that makes it clear to everybody what the parameters are.
Yes, they're there, and but I will send it again to all of you. I think most of you have access to it, but I will send it again so that if you don't have access, you let me know, and we'll make it available to you. Right. So, David, so we will put it on the LinkedIn group, okay, and make sure that all of you have access to it. If you don't have, let me know. Okay. So I'll update it tonight. I'll put it on the LinkedIn group tonight. Okay.
Manoj, by the way, why did you drop the word abundance from the name? I'm just curious.
So we were actually looking at creating this in partnership with somebody, and they had come up with this idea of abundance. And then we decided that to not go in that direction. Okay. And so now the partnership is going to be there, but in a different format. And hence we didn't want to use it. Secondly, we always had a little bit concern about using the word abundance because it was in the way it showed up for most people was more of an ego trip than an eco trip, right? So those two thoughts were there in the background.
And one funny thought is a lot of idiots also using the abundance word right now.
Sorry, lot of?
idiots also using the word abundance.
Ah,
So people are not able to differentiate idiots and us.
So now, right now we have taken a domain called changemakerstribe.com. Okay. So we might use that domain. We have, let's see how we are going to use it, but we just taken that domain. Okay. So this is like this beginning of the conversation. While the hour is going to get over soon, I request that all of you start thinking and sharing and be more proactive in how you want to build this community, and like let's brainstorm and build. And we will have lots of ideas and it can go crisscross a little bit, but let's build. And also I'm going to share the document. So if you want to add anything in the document, you'll have access to doing that also. Okay. Okay, so instead of today, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Let me just revisit the whole document and see if I need to update anything, and then I will post it tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, Manoj. Yep.